As we all know, there are very beautiful African, Nigerian, or Esan traditions and cultural heritage that we are very proud of. However, there are some ugly and bad ones that are not fit for purpose. Or can we get away by calling this particular one I'm going to be addressing in this video as a form of surrogacy without the medical intervention? Watch and tell me what you think. Hello everyone, my name is Mabel and I am known on my channel, popularly known on my channel as Auntie Mabel. And if you are new to my channel, you're coming across this video for the first time, you are welcome. And those of you who've been part of this family, thank you very much for your ongoing support. And please, today's video is a very unique one, and I'm going to be addressing some specific issues that have come up regarding some Nigerian and Esan tradition recently. So this is going to be a reaction video, and I just feel it's really important because on my channel I am promoting Africa, Nigerian, Esan tradition, languages, cultural heritage and identity. It is very important for me to actually address some of those traditions that are the bad ones, or the good, the bad, and the ugly. Definitely, I should be prepared to address them. So please, I think a lot of us will learn from this. So it's a reaction video. This is a reaction video to the video that was done about 2 weeks ago. The first one was by Sandra's Reality on a particular tradition in Igbo land in Nigeria, which is a woman being married for the dead. And another person from Esan, Ebo Naija Mama, actually reacted to that video, calling out and explaining a similar tradition in Esan land where a 6-year-old woman was being married for another woman. So, being that I am talking about Esan tradition and languages, and obviously after African tradition generally on my channel, like I said before, I think it's really important for me to actually address this topic. Obviously, I'm going to be using my experience of growing up in Nigeria and Esan land in particular to address some of all these traditions. And also, I'm going to also add the research I've done recently, because obviously as I'm promoting these things on my channel, there are times I have to do research by calling people, my elders back home, who are able to address this. So I've actually have to speak to 2 specific people. I spoke to the Saudi Agbe, whom some of you know, that is, I use his resources on this channel, addresses and language. And also I spoke to my senior brother who still lives in my hometown, currently Ekpoma. So the reason why I feel this is very important to address it, because some people challenge Sandra in her video. People didn't quite understand why that woman allowed herself to be married for the dead. So, and the reason why I really think I should address it is because we should be using this our platform, our social media platform, and YouTube in particular, where some of us are sharing our content, to be a voice for the voiceless. Because I know some of you grew up in the cities and only visit your hometown or your villages for Christmas, where everything is all a happy clappy and all kind of Christmas excitement. You're only there for a week or a couple of days and you're back to the city. And some of you don't really know some of all these traditions. So I think, because the reason why we need to address them, because some people, because the tradition actually, majority of this tradition are the ones in particular I'm going to be addressing, of a woman being married for another woman. They are oppressive to both the women and the children, which is the main reason, because this marriage and these traditions have been carried out mainly for that person who doesn't have children to have children. And these children that have been brought into this union, we forget that we need to start thinking of the physical. Sometimes these children have been neglected. Secondly, if they are not being neglected, they have this emotional stigma that they have to carry for the rest of their lives. So this is why it needs to be addressed. So the woman being married for the dead, I'm going to try and put the link to those two videos, so some of you that want to have a bigger picture of what is going on, so you can understand what I'm talking about. The one that woman is being married for the dead, it's not practiced in Esan land in that particular manner. What I know that was being practiced, which is no longer being practiced now, some part of Esan land that maybe the rural part of Esan land might still be practicing in, is when a man dies and he has young wives or wife, that wife will usually be married or will be married to either the man's eldest son, where it's in a situation where the man have more than one wife. So the junior wives will be married to the man's eldest son or to the man's brothers. So, but by the time we were growing up, those practices were, when I never really experienced anybody inheriting the brothers' wives when I was growing up. But I know my grandfather inherited his brother's wife. So my dad's cousins were raised by my grandfather. So that's what the story. That's what I'm aware of, because obviously we knew my dad and his cousins were very close, and his cousins were very close. Obviously, they were all grown men when we were growing up, and it was later I realized it's because their father died young. My grandfather inherited. The father died young, and he had two wives. So one of the wife was inherited by my grandfather, while another wife was inherited by another brother. So this woman didn't really have children he had only one son for my grandfather, but who later died. So we didn't know that child. So but these cousins were raised by my dad, and my dad actually built house next to one of the cousins. So they were very close. We almost grew up. We grew up almost their children were almost like cousins. We're so close. It was later I realized that they almost were raised as brothers. That is why they were raised as brothers. That's why they were so close. So yeah, that's one tradition. But the one I really want to address, which Ebo Naija Mama mentioned in her video, was a 6-year-old girl being married to a woman. The circumstances these things usually being done in Esan land is when a woman is not able to have children. If a woman is married and is not able to have children, so this woman probably, when the husband dies, and it's mostly done when this couple, they are relatively well-to-do at the time, by the standard of the time. So they will now marry a younger woman whom with the couple, if they are still alive, that's the husband and wife, we pay the bride price of this younger. That was, if you want to get that story, go and watch Ebo Naija Mama's video. But the one I want to say, from my own experience, I want to say the example of what I was aware of. So it's just to buttress that this tradition were going on at the time. And also, I will also use an example which I have to call, like I said earlier on in this video, I called my people back home, my senior brother back home, who also gave his own experience and a story of him, which he's aware of. So please don't get lost in these stories. Just follow me, and if you follow it attentively, you get the gist. So like the example when I was growing up in Ekpoma, Ekpoma was relatively a quiet town at the time. I know by early 80s when the university started, it became a very busy city. So, but Ebo Naija Mama grew up in a much rural part of Esan land. So, as a child, although she's younger than myself, as a child, she actually witnessed that. She know of her auntie who was married off as a child, whom at least it's an experience. But for me, the one I experienced wasn't in my vicinity growing up. My mom used to go to have their business. Obviously, those of you who grew up in Nigeria know that if you sell crayfish or seafood or whatever you do, you kind of trade together and still have stores in the same place. You are all grouped together. So if you sell tomatoes, the tomato store would be on one roll. So also, my mom used to do Warri market where they would go and buy this smoked dry seafood from Warri, which is like crayfish, boggerfish, ogbolo, and all of those things. They buy in bulk, wholesale, and then retail to the people in the market. So there was this particular lady who was like the top dog in the business. So she was like the rich one, the well-to-do one on the top. So she had a young woman who they were calling her wife. And I know that mama never had children of her own. So usually in Nigeria, it's very common for people to be called, if your son's wife can easily be called your wife. But in this case, I know she didn't have children of her own. So I asked my mom, I said, how is this woman mama's wife? And I could see her, she would come to help her in the store. She would carry baby on the back. And maybe when that child is old enough, like a toddler, 2 years old or 3 years, she'll be pregnant again. She will have another child. So it was then my mom explained to me that mama married her to have children for her because she was unable to have children. So that was an experience I experienced as a child. I was a young person, let's say up to about, before I went to the boarding school. So I witnessed this, obviously. It was when I was under the age of 10. Okay. So then I spoke to my senior brother at home when I wanted to research for this topic. I wanted to know if it's still being practiced. My brother actually said he himself, as a person, he has not really witnessed it being practiced in our vicinity as well. But that he's aware of a situation in Uromi where a woman was married for another woman. And what made this case more complex, that this particular woman was not discreet enough. But in most cases, when these women are married for another woman, they will usually answer the father name, the surname of that woman. But in this case, this woman was not, will I say wise enough, or was a bit stupid? I'm really sorry to use that word. Was not wise enough. So she actually made these children answer her first name, which is Mary. So, and there was only one boy among these children that were had for this lady, whom when he was now older and he went, I think he went for a job interview or something, somebody now said he's Bernard, for example, I can't remember his name. He now said for example, he's Bernard Mary. So somebody now said, what? How can you be answering Mary as your surname? So somebody now laughed at him and said, oh, it's because his mother was married for a woman. So he went home and asked his mom. His mom now explained to him actually that another man from a different town was actually the one who fathered them for this, on behalf of the woman she was married for. So by this time, this woman who actually was supposed to be their mother or father, whatever how they would describe it, was already passed on. So this man was very keen. He really want to know who this biological father is. Was able to trace back to his biological father, and then change his name and started answering the name of his biological father and have a relationship with that father. This was a story that this could have happened not maybe a couple of decades ago. I don't think it was something that's happened. Obviously, maybe when my brother was already sensible enough to know this story. So it must have been maybe about 10, 20 years ago. So it wasn't that far away, a long time ago. So what am I trying to say? There are some traditions. There are so many other Esan traditions which I've actually said I'm still researching that I want to cover on this channel. And what I want us to know that we have to be the voice for the voiceless. If these traditions are still being practiced in any part of Nigeria, Africa that we are aware of, let us call it out, because the children that are mostly being affected. In Sandra's story, we could see how the children were being neglected and the woman was being neglected. And in most cases, it's the women that have to bear, the mothers of these children, these women that are married for the dead or for this other woman, because just to have children on behalf of this family that are unable to have children, is something we need to address. So I would say, I know it might be far-fetched. It's almost like today's surrogacy, but it's surrogacy gone wrong, and that is not actually being done in a way that, because in the case of the surrogacy, obviously you know that this is transparency. It's very transparent that the sperm or the egg of the woman or the husband is being used in the case when the woman is not able to carry a child for whatever medical reason. But in this case, is the way that is being done that is not, obviously maybe they didn't have the scientific know-how to carry out surrogacy, so they have to do their own traditional sort of surrogacy. Okay, so it is something that I think we need to address. It is psychological and the emotional problem, concerns that is being that kind of affect these children, that when they become adult, nobody think about these children when they become adult. And everybody in the community will always know these children, but it will be hush-hush, and nobody will really come. These things, all the people around these children will know what's going on, and it will be things will be said behind their back. So I hope this makes sense. So please tell me in the comment section if you know any tradition in Africa or any other part of the world, or in Nigeria, whatever tribe you are, or you come from in Nigeria, that if you know any of this ugly, bad tradition that is still being practiced, and if it was being practiced in the past, it no longer be practiced, then we should give it a shout out and say, okay, it used to be practiced, like I said, it used to be practiced in Esan, but I never really witnessed anyone being practicing it. So whether some people are still doing it and hiding it, nobody's would. I'm still not aware. I'm sure some of you might know better, might have better experience to share with us. So on that note, everybody, I will say Babulu, or which is Obulu, is thank you to one person in Esan land, in Esan language. Babulu is thank you for more than one person, and Okimbwe is goodbye to one person in Esan language, and Wakimbwe is goodbye to everyone in the Esan language. So Babulu and Wakimbwe, Wakimbwe, Wakimbwe.